Hello and welcome to Moneylife. This is Sucheta Dalal. This week, let's talk about the Tukaram Mundhe effect. Who's Tukaram Mundhe? If you're not from Maharashtra and not from Mumbai, you really need to know about this man. He's an IAS officer and he is making enforcement credible. And what a story he has. In fact, such is the effect that across Maharashtra, restaurants and club kitchens are being steam cleaned, scrubbed, pest controlled, contractors are being summoned, food storage practices are being reviewed with great urgency. After elite clubs and storied shops were raided and shut, several other clubs quietly came down and shut their kitchens on their own for several days to ensure compliance before the inspectors arrived, found rodents and mess, and shut them down. Social media is flooded with reels of dairy operators dumping stocks of adulterated food and milk rather than risk seizure. In fact, in a matter of weeks since he was posted as the Commissioner of Maharashtra's Food and Drug Administration, FDA, Tukaram Mundhe has achieved something that years of routine enforcement has failed to do. He has made businesses realize that the law will actually be enforced regardless of who they are. That is what we call the Mundday effect. And if FDA inspectors were reluctant to act strongly against government establishments, that changed, ironically enough, after a Bombay High Court order. This order was in response to a lawsuit by a restaurant which said they raided us over so many hours, took strict action, named and shamed us, but they don't have the courage to do it with government canteens. So the court said you must ensure that the same rigorous standards are applied to private restaurants and elite clubs and government canteens as well. So, what did FDA do? Again, under Tukaram Mundhe, it is pretty inspiring. His inspection teams moved into the High Court complex and looked at their canteens. This was followed by government canteens, and action was taken where violations were found. People thought he would get on the back foot or be cowed down. Didn't happen. In fact, he even went and inspected the canteens at the Mumbai municipal headquarters. Tukaram Mundhe's actions have naturally rattled the administration, infuriated the food industry and restaurant chains, especially his decision to name and shame and shut down businesses until they clean up. But his actions have massive public support, even from clients of affected restaurants and club members. Most significant is the behavioral change that it appears to have triggered. And that, after all, is the point of enforcement and raids. The inspection that drew the greatest attention was that of the Mumbai's Cricket Club of India, a 93-year-old elite institution frequented by industrialists, senior bureaucrats, politicians, policemen, sports personalities. Listen to what the FDA inspectors found. They reported serious food safety violations, insect infestation, poor housekeeping, unhygienic storage condition, and expired food items. Shouldn't this be announced? They jolly well did. The agency suspended the club's food and business license, forcing the kitchens to close until all these deficiencies were rectified. Within days, the inspections extended to other very storied brand names. They included the Willingdon Sports Club, MIG Cricket Club, Juhu Gymkhana, and a little ice cream shop called K. Rustam's at Churchgate outside Brabant Stadium, which has crowds waiting to eat their famous ice cream for decades. Even K. Rustam's and Parsi Dairy came under the spotlight. The nature of violations in each case differed, as did the regulatory response, but the message was clear. Everybody has to comply. And your name and brand and storied antecedents not going to spare you. Now, for decades, in India, we have a widespread perception that elite establishments will not be touched, government organizations will not be touched. They'll have less rigorous scrutiny than small eateries unless somebody goes and irritates a government official, and then there's a lot of revenge action that happens. But by and large, as a rule, they escape. The recent inspections have challenged that perception. This time, the fear and rush to comply is so visible in the FDA crackdown that it is not limited to restaurants. And believe me, restaurants have voluntarily shut down, but it is extending to another serious problem. Our children drink milk. And we have known for a long time that there are absolutely unscrupulous people, scoundrels, who are adulterating it with detergents and horribly hazardous substances. These people, including those who make adulterated medicine or pass off out of date medicines, have been put under the spotlight under a Safe Food, Safe Medicine, Safe Maharashtra campaign. Now consider this. Organized networks manufacturing synthetic and adulterated milk using vegetable fat, starch, detergents, and other substances which mimic genuine milk have been known, like I said, for a long time. For the first time ever, you're seeing reels and photographs on social media of all of them dumping their products on highways. Why is this happening? Because the FDA has intensified inspections, is using mobile laboratories, has highway checkpoints to catch them, and so they probably get calls to know that there is a checkpoint and they are just dumping the milk on the road. So they know what they're supplying is bad and adulterated, and they are acting before they're caught. These videos have gone viral. They create a suspicion of guilt more than any FDA test report can. The FDA doesn't even have to catch them. Why will anyone dump cans and cans of milk on the road unless it was synthetic and it was bad for us? This signals that rates and inspections cannot be fixed today to give operators a clean sheet. I mean, what better way to certify the integrity of what is going on than this action by the operators themselves? Now let's look at Mr. Munday's track record. It is not easy doing what he does. His career has had a consistent pattern. And what is that? He takes charge of an institution, applies existing laws against entrenched interests, triggers resistance naturally from powerful political and commercial lobbies, and gets transferred. How often does that happen? Less than a year in a post. He has a 21-year career in the Indian Administrative Services, and he's been transferred 25 times. Will you believe it? Now, people are hoping that it's going to happen again. These people being restaurants and powerful business interests. People like us are hoping that this time public pressure will ensure that he remains. In each of his past postings, he has taken on powerful people. Illegal sand mining in Sholapur, anti-encroachment drives in Navi Mumbai, transport contractor cartels in Pune, property tax evasion in Nasik, hospitals overcharging during the pandemic in Nagpur. Each posting left a trail of vigorous enforcement of rules leading to a transfer. Do your job, do it honestly. In India, you get transferred rather than rewarded. But we, the people, can reward it by remembering, by applauding. His current campaign at the FDA may lead to a similar outcome, and he, more than anyone else, is surely aware of it. Ordinary people who support his actions view the transfers as evidence of his integrity. Critics, of course, label them as a sign of inflexibility, and some even call it publicity-seeking actions. But anyone who has exposed wrongdoing in India knows that there is a far greater price to be paid by being honest and taking on the powerful rather than keeping quiet and being complicit. Because if you keep quiet, there are better rewards, better postings, and you align with powerful politicians and businessmen, the rewards are far greater. The publicity also can be far greater. So it's only the foolish and the jealous who would ascribe this to publicity seeking. Predictably, Mr. Munday's actions have also led to a powerful and organized resistance. Like I said, they've filed a series of court cases, issued press releases. The hotel and restaurant associations put out a joint press statement criticizing the naming and shaming of establishments, which actually led to a massive cleanup. In fact, because of the naming and shaming, the smaller clubs, smaller restaurants realized that if it can happen to them, it can happen to us, and they shut down and cleaned up on their own. None of us even knew what was happening. We were merely eating stuff in these smaller places. When they shut down and don't open for 5 days, you were left wondering what on earth were you eating all these days. Now, business argues that they ought to receive improvement notices and an opportunity to rectify deficiencies before licenses are suspended and reputations damaged. Valid enough. Due process is important in a regulatory system, and we're all for it. But India's food safety challenges are far bigger than a few clubs and restaurants. Our food and pharmaceutical exports have faced recalls in many countries over contamination, poor manufacturing standards, even as domestic consumers grapple with what we're eating. Synthetic paneer, analog paneer is a name we've given to it, adulterated milk, contaminated eye drops. People are losing their eyesight, not just here, around the world because we are exporting it. Carbide ripened fruit, misleading labels, periodic food poisoning incidents, changing labels. We see these write ups regularly because today you have social media and every phone has video recording capacity. But is action taken? That is what this is about. So, public outrage and viral videos rarely translate to meaningful punishment. Instead, industry lobbying regularly leads to relaxation of standards, weakening of disclosure requirements, while online marketplaces are actually providing a platform and a sales opportunity for fake and spurious products, and they refuse to act when you bring it to their attention. They say it's not our job, and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, by and large, has allowed this to happen. I have written about it multiple times. They don't care. They don't even care that we write this. That is why, when raids and inspections actually reveal pest infestation, cockroaches, rodents, contaminated or rotting and out of date food, unhygienic conditions that are such an obvious threat to public health, it requires immediate action. It can't have improvement notices. We who consume that food ought to know. So, time for rectification and notices would be actually a cop out in these cases. The law gives regulators the powers to initiate immediate action when circumstances justify it. Also, with industry filing lawsuits against the FDA action, if there is overreach, courts will look into it. What is important is that Mr. Munday's actions in Maharashtra have to be viewed in a wider context, which is this. Disclosures in Parliament have revealed that 40,000 out of 200,000 food samples tested in India annually fail safety and quality standards. What is the result of criminal convictions? Less than 2%. Lax domestic enforcement is now causing international embarrassment. I've already said it. Indian spice exports have faced bans after recalls because there is detection of carcinogenic residues. Indian companies have been caught in scandals over toxic cough syrup linked to child deaths in Gambia, Uzbekistan, and contaminated eye drops is a problem that seems to happen over and over again. This is not happening because we lack safety rules and legislation. We have a comprehensive legal framework. Enforcement is poor and convictions pathetic. History shows that institutions are transformed only when administrators, by this I mean individuals, are willing to implement existing laws consistently. We have plenty of laws. There is nobody who is willing to apply them consistently across the board. But from time to time, few notable individuals rise above the timidity of ordinary bureaucrats, administrators, and regulators and work in public interest. They do this by risking their careers, but their work is remembered decades later when their peers and successors have long been forgotten, and that is an important reward. Let me name a few. In 1992, I saw really close up how Chairman GV Ramakrishna established the credibility of the Securities and Exchange Board of India in the face of loud, relentless opposition by every market intermediary. You had to live through that time to see the kind of things, they call them like a, angry mother-in-law and what have you. Then you would remember S.R. Rao, or you wouldn't if you were very young. But in the 90s again, 1994, Surat had the global embarrassment of an outbreak of plague. Will you believe it? Plague. And he pulled Surat out of this ignominy by rigorously enforcing municipal rules, doing walks at 6 in the morning, and he made Surat one of the cleanest cities in the country. Then Mumbai remembers Deputy Commissioner G.R. Khairnar. He was known as the Demolition Man. Long after you remember any commissioner in Bombay, you will remember G.R. Khairnar, who was an additional municipal commissioner, for his campaign against illegal constructions despite their political connection. He was even shot at. RC Sinha, as head of the Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation, gave us world-class infrastructure. Mumbai-Pune Expressway, that time in the 90s, was on par with the best. We had 42 flyovers built with minimal disruption, unlike what has happened over the last few years with your metro and whatever. And then he went on to Hyderabad, laying the groundwork for Cyberabad. And he had come after creating this whole Navi Mumbai and Sidco, which was literally going bankrupt until he was posted there and transformed it and gave it connectivity. And you know property prices in Navi Mumbai today. Will Tukaram Mundhe join this small group? I think he will, but it will depend less on headlines generated by recent raids than what remains after they fade. So, if restaurants continue to maintain high standards, adulteration becomes commercially unviable, food safety enforcement requires lasting credibility, his tenure would have left something far more valuable than a series of high profile inspections. The knowledge that the law will be enforced no matter who the violator is. Is it happening today? Yes. Few are affected, but the clients of these restaurants, which is us, are many more. And today we applaud what he is doing. I think we are going to remember it, and it's going to have a lasting impact. If this government cares about its people, it will not transfer him and allow him to do his job so that the system gets cleaned up on a long term basis. If you agree, raise your voice in support. This is about us, not just about Mr. Mundday. He's doing it for us. If you like what I say, please share and subscribe. Thank you.